Welcome to another edition of Flea Market Fantasy, the world's second greatest Bronze Age era comic book podcast. Joining me as always is new Mike. Oh, Kevin Jank.
I think it's now Captain Jank, as everybody at the end has christened me.
Yeah, Kev's new nickname is Captain Jank, so everyone proceed accordingly. But
comic book appropriate, I feel like.
Now, Jank, we a very special episode this evening for the Flea Market Fantasy. Why don't you tell the kids what we're reading?
I don't know how special it's going to be, but it's we're going to be reading ElfQuest number 27 by Wendy and Richard Pini.
That's right, and technically this is the Marvel version, which is a reprint of the original, but this is from 1987, and we'll get into all that stuff. But ElfQuest. If it's one thing I love, Jank, it's elves.
Yep. You're always saying that.
No, I don't like
elves. Elves on the shelf every Christmas, I think, moving around your place. You love them so much.
I just don't like fantasy stuff, man. I don't know.
I like it sometimes. I like a dabbling of fantasy.
Like in my writing program, it's broken up by genres, and I'm in the mystery genre. And there weren't many of us. Like if there's like 80 people in this program or so, there's like 5 mystery, maybe 5 to 10. And then it's the big chunk is romance, and then it's like overwhelmingly fantasy.
Holy hell!
Yeah, and,
I feel like fantasy is a tough genre to crack. Like you're not George R.R. Martin. How many people are really going to read your stuff?
And all their books like 150,000 words. They're always big. But yeah,
you got to do a lot of world building if you're going to be successful.
I just don't fit in with the fantasy group. Because what do I love, Jank? What do I love?
Chimps.
That's right, chimps. Well, and punching. I like punching.
Well, there was a lot of fighting in this issue. There was a lot of battling.
Yeah, with like crossbows and swords and stuff. Not a lot of punching. All right, but anyway, we'll get into all that in a second. But first, let's remind everybody, if you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. We're up to 250 subscribers, Captain Jank.
Woo.
Halfway to relevancy.
That's a milestone right there.
It is a milestone.
Another 10 years, we'll be there, for sure.
Yeah. It took us about...
Really in that wave of that Batman and Superman baseball issue.
I guess we really just started. It's been about 14 months of hard work, and it's gotten us 250 subscribers. So, yeah. Good times. All right, but we appreciate the support. And again, if we get to 500, Jank's going to make me watch or read all of The Dark Knight. And
and maybe watch it too. We could watch the cartoon version with Peter Weller as Batman.
I'm not watching that dopey movie. All right. So anyway, also my book Monkey Flip is out there because, as Jank told you earlier, I like chimps. All right, so ElfQuest. This here book, you mentioned it earlier, is created by Wendy and Richard Pini in 1978. Now, they have quite the history, these two crazy kids. And they're still married today, very happily married couple. And did you ever hear the story of how they met, Captain Jank?
No. Considering I think on last week's show, I was like, I think they're husband and wife. It could be brother and sister. I don't know. It could be a Jack and Meg White situation.
Yeah, but so Wendy, when she was a young lass, she loved the comic books and she liked Marvel a lot, So she would send in fan letters. And she sent in a letter to Silver Surfer issue 5 in 1969. And, back in the day, they just printed your address with your letter.
Yeah, full address, yeah. So, they weren't scared.
So imagine what it was like for a young woman to have her address printed in a comic book in 1969. So she said she got like 500 letters from boys who wanted to be friends with a girl who liked comic books.
She was the first person or the first female to ever get a letter published. So
yeah, so she had like 500 letters written to her, and one of them was by this Ron Pini fella, and that's his name, right? Oh, Richard.
Dick Pini.
And Dick Pini. And he said, they were flirting around there on the letters. And he wrote her a letter saying, if you want to get to know more about me, write back, and I'm full of surprises or something like that. So she wrote back.
Oh, no.
And then when she was intrigued, and then when she wrote back, she sent him a drawing she did of, I believe, Triton, the Inhumans character created by Jack Kirby.
Okay.
And he was blown away by this. That not only did this girl like comics, but she could also draw. And he's like, holy hell! So they just sparked off as pen pals there. And then eventually he called her up one time, and they started chatting it up, and the rest is history. How about that?
So how did she pick, is that what got her to write him back as opposed to the other 500 people that wrote her?
Yeah, there's something.
That he was full of surprises?
Yeah, something about that. Yeah, intrigued her.
Wow.
So, how about that? And she was quite the thing in the early or mid 70s. She was way into one of the first cosplayers, you could say. And she, if you ever look up Red Sonja, like I had to do for this here podcast, and do research on
research, yeah.
Yeah, scholarly research on Red Sonja, you will see a famous picture of her dressed as Red Sonja from 70s Comic Cons and stuff. And she was getting it done. You know what I'm saying? She was, yeah.
Sure. Is she a redhead?
Yes. At least in costume. So, she could afford a wig, at least. But she was even on an episode of the Mike Douglas Show in her Red Sonja costume. Because, did you ever hear the Mike Douglas Show? It was a very popular talk show back in the day, in the 70s. And they did an episode about the hobby of comic book collecting. Because and so they did a whole episode, and she was featured on there in her Red Sonja outfit. But anyway, so they wanted to make their own little ElfQuest comic book there, and they pitched it to Marvel, I guess, and Marvel said, no, thank you. We like punching. We don't like elves.
I think they would come to regret that later on, because they probably had to cut a much bigger check the second time around.
So, but they decided to just publish it themselves, and Wendy co-plotted and wrote the stories, and she also drew the books. She's quite the creator here, this Wendy. Well, yeah. Richard co-plotted with her, and he served as the editor, and then he did all the other businessy kind of stuff. But I did watch an interview with them this afternoon, because it was a recent, within maybe 6 years or so, and because I wasn't make sure I knew how to pronounce their name. It's Pini. There's a lot of ways that could go, but it's Pini. And it seems like quite the relationship they have. He just supports her, and you can tell just how they interact that it's quite the relationship. So yeah, nice. He knows she's the star here. He's not trying to hog any spotlight. He's just
yeah. She wrote and drew all this stuff. I'll send out the newsletter.
Now, when the series started, Wendy and Richard, they had the ending in mind. They knew where they wanted to go. That. Yeah. But they just didn't know how long it would take to get there, And basically the premise of this story, it's a bunch of elves and there's a quest. So there you go.
Yeah. What exactly is the quest? It seems like take down that one troll guy. I mean, is that the main objective of the quest?
I don't know. Yeah, the main characters in this book, they're what are they called? The Wolf Riders. They're Wolf Rider elves, and they're ferocious hunters and warriors.
Yeah.
And they're always
ferocious, all right. They're about 2 feet tall. Yeah.
They're also super horny, which is something we're going to do later on. But anyway, so they had the ending in mind, and the main storyline ran for 20 magazine-sized issues over roughly 7 years, with 3 issues published each year, roughly. And it was very popular on the independent scene,
Sure.
So in 1985, the original series was republished by Marvel under its Epic Comics imprint, and the original ElfQuest magazine formats were 32 pages, but because of Marvel's 22-page format, the Epic series was 32 issues long, and they actually added additional pages to make the breaks less awkward, so they could have little bridges to connect things. So
yes. I was gonna say this issue ends pretty well. It didn't seem like it was, cut off in a weird spot. It seemed like it had a natural conclusion.
So then the Pinis continued to self-publish ElfQuest sequels and books until 2003 when they licensed all publishing and merchandising rights to DC Comics. But the Pinis retained ownership and creative control. And then in 2013, Dark Horse published a one-shot called ElfQuest Special, The Final Quest. And that led to a Final Quest series that lasted 24 issues. And
it's like Friday the 13th, the final chapter. Like, it's not the final chapter.
Well, actually, it kind of is. Because the final issue, they rigged it out so it was published 40 years to the day of the very first issue back in 1978 or whatever. So and that final issue ended the big long story arc of the main elf guy. I think his name's Cutter.
Yeah.
And
guessing he dies, it sounds like.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So that's his hero's journey. He's done. So in their minds, they're done with ElfQuest. But they then let other artists and writers take, the world in separate, where they wanted to go with it. So I think they're still ElfQuest books, but they're kind of done with it, I think.
Okay. Yeah. They told their story. They're out. No,
yeah, I think she said something like she never wanted to be stuck to another deadline again. She just wanted to focus on whatever she's doing. So,
did they do anything else besides ElfQuest? Did they ever start any other comics or anything?
Not really in terms of like ongoing series or anything. She did other side projects throughout the years, and she did like a graphic novel adaptation of the Beauty and the Beast TV show with Linda Hamilton from the 80s.
Oh boy.
Yeah. That's one thing she did. And she did a couple other and then in this interview she was saying that the fans of Beauty and the Beast TV show really like the graphic novels because the first two seasons were good and the third season not so much. So she says when she goes to Beauty and the Beast conventions, what? There are Beauty and the Beast conventions?
No.
But she says the fans are all happy that they gave her proper closure in the graphic novels. That they, she really took care of that Linda Hamilton character. Yeah.
Holy hell! Ron Perlman, wasn't he the Beast?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think he was. Yeah. So that was something. But yeah, in terms of like other ongoing series, now, and I think in this interview she said she was working on a Broadway or a musical, a stage musical based on Edgar Allan Poe's The Mask of the Red Death. So that's something.
Wow. We're turning everything into a musical now. It's weird.
But this ElfQuest world, it got very involved, and there's like over 700 characters in this realm. And there's been side stories and everything. And so I guess there are still ElfQuest stories going on, but
just different characters.
Yeah.
Legacy characters, probably Cutter's kids and stuff like that.
So there it is, the ElfQuest. Anything else you would like to share about the ElfQuest?
This is definitely a book I remember always seeing in those Marvel checklists every month, but not really knowing what it was.
I agree. I would see it at the comic book store occasionally,
Yeah.
And I would quickly turn away from it.
If only you knew the orgies that awaited you inside the book.
Yeah, I was very surprised by the elf orgies.
Yeah.
When I opened this book up, I said, "Holy crud, an orgy!"
As you should. I hope you didn't try to burn it down like Zombie did. Ruin a good orgy.
Gotta have more respect for the orgies. All right, so let's look at the cover, Jank. And then, I was wondering, why did Jank pick ElfQuest? And then, this was before I saw the orgy, of course, because that answered that question immediately. But then when I looked at the cover, I see, there's that sexy, sexy troll lady in the metal coned bra.
And the Madonna bra.
It's one thing I know about Captain Jank. He loves his troll porn. This book is not what I expected. Let's put it that way. I did not think it would have such adult themes.
Yeah, it's very much drawn like it would be like a kid's book, but no,
Yes.
not so much. This is very adult. So yeah, this is a good cover. That's why I picked this one pretty much with that big cone bra. I'm like, oh yeah, this is the one.
Do I know Captain Jank or do I know Captain Jank?
So we got the little Marvel corner box up there, but it's got just a picture of Cutter and like the shadow of a wolf.
But that's a very
famous
famous image. Like that's what you always see with ElfQuest, right? That image. Like I've recognized it immediately, kind of from my childhood.
I did not.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Then it says ElfQuest 27 in a very kind of European looking or Canadian almost, I would say. It doesn't look very like an American comic the way they list it out there.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, I think it's because it's Epic Comics. It's a little weird.
Yeah, it's a little classier. We got the little Epic comic box below that. It's loading this thing with logos. And we get the little ElfQuest title font. Pretty cool looking. There's like a gem in the Q. It's pretty nice. I like that. And it says by Wendy and Richard Pini right there on the cover. So that's cool. They were giving them credit back then. And then we got the shot of a giant throne, made out of like stone, kind of like the Phantom would have, except he'd have more skulls on it.
Yeah, that's right. That is a good callback to the Phantom.
And this giant fat troll guy is just kind of sitting there wearing purple. He's like the prince, like the singer Prince, I guess. He just loves purple. And
but he is the
big
king.
Stick.
He's not a prince.
Yeah.
He's king. He's not the actual prince.
He's got a big stick with a skull on it and a pointy like spear end. So that's pretty cool. It's like his scepter, but he can kill people with it. And then he's got a troll guard. Looks very much like one of the Gamorrean guards out of Star Wars. Yep. And then he's got his troll lady there in her metal bra, just lounging around like Princess Leia in the slave outfit.
And what a looker she is, huh?
Yeah. Hubba hubba.
That's quite the cover.
Ed Asner, if he really packed on some pounds in the face.
Ed Asner in a metal cone bra. So, distinctive cover.
Voting imagery, yeah. These trolls look badass. I don't want to mess with them.
Now we open it up, and we get a big splash page of this is pre-orgy, but only moments before the orgy.
Yes. The orgy is about to break out at any minute.
Here they're just dancing.
A couple sips of alcohol away from the orgy, full on getting going. And tops coming off. Molly,
and then they're ready to go. Yeah. But they're all like dancing around a fire pit, and they're like, dance, dance, warriors. And you see, is that a bear elf butt right in front there, or just a shadow?
Yeah. Yeah. He's wearing like a fur, but I don't know. They might be wearing pants, might not.
Yeah, I can't tell. And it says, life gets no better than this, they're screaming. They're having a big old party because they're about to go into war, Captain Jank. And they're going to go fight some trolls. So they're like, before we die, we got to party. We got to live it up.
Damn right. As you do.
And this issue is called...
I feel like they ripped off for the second Matrix movie. Remember that? The whole, the first 25 minutes of that movie was like some weird rave orgy thing.
I never really watched the Matrixes.
You're better off.
So this issue is called The First War, and that's something. And then we go to the next
First War happening in issue 27.
Yeah,
there's only a couple of issues left.
Yeah, what did we say, 32? So
yeah.
So the Wolf Riders howl wildly, answering War Chief Kavi's rousing cry. There are a lot of characters in this book with a lot of names.
I wish someone could have been simpler.
Yeah, what was Kavi? That was a lady, right?
I think so. Yeah, I think that was the one who's kind of leading the charge later on.
I read this like last week because I wanted to really get into my ElfQuest quick. So I read a lot of. But then even in the foreground here, we get a sexy elf body there, torso. Midriff.
She is definitely on Molly.
So
that might be the girl that Columbo ran into in that episode. The rave girl that really wanted to give him glow sticks.
Columbo goes to a rave. It was great. So in the overheated closeness of the Go-Backs Smoke Haze Lodge. Now, did you ever understand who the Go-Backs were exactly?
No, not so much. I'm guessing they have some kind of powers, maybe time warping powers, hence the go-backs, but I don't know.
No idea. Two different but equally hardy elf tribes dance their love of life. And though the cry is for all-out war against the trolls, Leetah, Leetah, feels her blood surge in response.
Ooh.
I didn't want it to be confused with Lita from the WWE. Lita.
That's good.
Yeah.
Glad you
And then she's having a flashback here, this Lita, to when her lover was run through, and Cutter is her lover, right? And
yes.
Hey, although I think he's everyone's lover. We find out.
Yeah. I guess he's her life mate, but he's kind of throwing it everywhere. Everyone gets a piece.
But when she's watching everybody dance around, she's having flashbacks to when she saw Cutter get run through by a troll and a spear through the belly. And this Lita lady, she's a healer. You know?
Yeah. Magical healing powers.
Yeah, she helped heal him along with some other fella, right? Who's also a healer. This guy's name is Ryak.
Yeah.
And she used to be...
Ryak's kind of thinking back too. Like, 7 years wandering and then living with the go-backs has not eased the proud one's ache for the love mate he thought left forever behind in sorrow's end. Recognition cost him her deepest love, but he might have shared more of her had he consented to a 3 bond.
Yeah, that's right.
So he could have made the 3 with them, apparently.
Yeah.
But he's like, no.
I don't want to see Cutter's elf penis. I'm good. So, yeah, this ElfQuest is wild, wild stuff.
It really is.
Like if you're
just 40, they don't care where it goes. They're going to play a game of who's in my mouth and whatever happens, happens.
Like you're like, this came out in what, 87? So like, I would have been, 12 or whatever. But what if you're like an 8-year-old or something? You just, fuck, elves, they look cute. I want to pick up this elf book. They're having orgies and making 3.
3 bond? Oh no.
So, and then, they have like, these other little elves in little furry outfits. I don't know, and they're like kid elves. And they say, all right, kids, you gotta go now. We gotta take you out of the room. You gotta go upstairs. This thing's about to get weird. So let's go.
Yep. You'll get your chance to die later and be in an orgy.
So then the orgy commences. And
yeah, here the clothes start coming off.
And these elves just start going at it for a couple pages here. And, man, they're sweating and giving it to each other. And but then at one point, where does it? Yeah, they're just talking about I don't know. We just see a bunch of elves going at it, and then Ryak is with one of his. He partnered up with somebody, you know, and he's about to make a sweet, sweet love there, but he looks over and he sees Cutter and Lita, and he is still in love with Lita, so he has to get up, and he's like, you know what, I can't do this, and he leaves the room, right?
Yeah.
And, but then Cutter, being the nice guy that he is, doesn't he tell Lita, hey, go, you know what, Ryak needs you.
Yep. I guess he sends it to her, like, he's kind of like, got force powers or something where he can kind of like send people messages in their brains.
Yeah. Yeah, so Ryak is sending her that message, or is Cutter telling her to go?
I think Cutter is.
Yeah, that's what I thought as well.
Yeah.
But, okay. So she gets up right out of having sex with Cutter, and she goes to follow Ryak. Yeah. And then Cutter, so the girl who was with Ryak
now, but no, maybe not.
The girl who was with Ryak just grabs him by the hair and pulls him down, and she's like, all right, it's me and you now. And he just...
Yeah. Like, what is it about you, Wolf Chief, except for the fact that you're unattached right now? That's pretty much the only reason I'm here.
So he starts having the sex with her, and then we cut away, and it says later, and now whatever happened to Lita and Ryak? Did they have sex?
I would assume so, yeah.
Man,
These elves, man. I don't know.
wild stuff. So, all right, and now we
Going
see
into
the
battle
elves.
all the time if I was an elf. This is the pre-battle ceremony.
Holy crud and orgy. All right, so now the elves, they're preparing to go. It's like the next morning when they've all sobered up and they all feel like, oh, what did we do? What did we do last night?
Now, like, half of them have to go to the clinic and try to get on some medication.
Yeah, they're kind of hoping they die in the battle. Yeah. They don't have to explain things to their wives. Oh, no, what did I do? So,
why is it burn?
All right, so they say goodbye to the little elves, and then they start making their way out in the world to go on their mission to hunt down these trolls. They're going to kill these trolls.
Yeah, we're going to get them.
Now, along the way, they come upon, like, I guess there's a big gap, like a crevice.
They're going to buy clothes? Nice.
No, not that kind of gap. Like just a big hole in the ground, and they have to get around it somehow. So they slide down into it, but then they have like an elf guy who can shape rocks.
Yeah.
And instead of building a bridge, he builds little steps down into the crevice on either side and then up the other side, because there are also some wolves trapped down in this hole down here in this pit.
Mm-hmm.
And they love wolves.
Yeah, that's why I guess Steve Cutter's shadow was the wolf. You got a real bond with them.
Yeah, they're the wolf riders. So they free the wolves, and then the wolves are very excited.
The wolves look scary, but then like they start jumping up on Cutter because I guess they can tell like this guy just had sex with like a bunch of people.
This guy smells like sex. And they're
this guy will teach us his ways.
So eventually they make it across this crevice place, and there's a dead troll body there on the ground because one of their people had killed this troll earlier. Like he was a troll scout or something.
Yep.
So they're like, oh, look, there's that dead troll body. But it was a trap, Captain Jack.
Uh-oh.
And they left that dead troll body there, and so the elves would think, oh, everything's cool. But then this other troll, there's a couple other trolls hiding in the bushes behind some rocks and stuff. But there's this young, hot-headed young troll, who has no patience. So he just goes running out to start murdering elves, and a big fight breaks out.
Yeah, it sure does. And Itchback, I guess, is this guy's name. They have these trolls have really strange names.
Well, he also gets some arrows in the belly because these elves are quick with a crossbow.
Yeah. And there's only 3 trolls and like a bunch of elves. So yeah, it goes down pretty quick. And then like, they were so weird. Like some of the elves were like, oh, maybe we shouldn't kill them. Like, what do you think's going to happen if you don't kill? I thought that's the whole reason you were here is to kill all these trolls. Let them go.
Things get pretty dark. Like there's a big panel colored in just red and like black, and or I guess a pinkish. And what follows is needless. There are only 3 scouts against the 2 elf tribes combined. Several of the wolf riders protest the cruel massacre. Let them play, laughs a go-back. First blood whets the appetite for more. That's what we're here for, aren't we? Yeah, so they just slaughter these 3 trolls.
Yeah.
And now Lita, of course, is a healer, so she's healing any elves who were hurt. But then she sees a troll still, dying. She goes, oh, I better go help that little troll there. And Cutter grabs her and says, you don't help him. If you heal him, he'll thank you with a knife in the back. Understand? And so she just has to watch him die. That's what a book for young children this is.
Oh, I know. Deceptive.
Because like you mentioned, the art style is very cartoony and kid-like.
So. Yeah. I mean, they do have a lot of shadow and stuff like that, so it is kind of, they do make it adulted up a little bit, but yeah, the troll or the elves especially look very kind of kid friendly.
Even the trolls look very cartoony. I mean,
A little bit, yeah. The
so
cone bra.
yeah, now we see we cut away to the troll guy we see on the cover, and we basically get a recreation of the cover here with your beloved cone broad troll at his feet. Now, what is going on here exactly? Like, she is some sort of a soothsayer, or what is her deal exactly?
Not sure.
She's kind of like telling him what's going to happen, or
Yeah.
like the elves are coming for him or something. And she makes a very kind of dirty reference too to, like, what does she say? Again, oh wait, she says, "Why badger your pretty slave, old wart? I'll mutter for you again and again. Your frozen mother mountain's secret parts yield to new lovers. She dallies with them." What the what?
Oh. That's like the weirdest dirty limerick I've ever heard.
I don't know if I'm old enough to read this.
I understood. Yeah.
I need a parental advisory on this for me. Right.
So talk about the mountain's secret parts.
I guess basically she's saying there's elves coming for you, you know, and he's trying to figure out what to do about it. So
I would try to kill him. That's just me.
So now we see the elves. They're sneaking into this underground troll compound or whatever, and they pop out a little hole there, and they look down, and there's a bunch of trolls who are being forced to work as slaves for other trolls.
Yeah, this whole scene was very Temple of Doom-esque.
Yeah, like they're down in, like, what are they doing here? Forging swords or something? Or they're making them do something with metal, right?
Yeah, probably mining and then, smelting.
So we got, and I guess they personally know some of these trolls. Because I guess, there's different branches of trolls. There's like,
the
Crips,
like the Bloods.
Yeah. And they've had encounters with these trolls who are now slaves. And they recognize some of them, and they're like, "Hey, this isn't right that they're getting whipped and forced into slavery." So, like, you know what? Let's help these trolls. Because
that makes
we're
sense.
Good elves. And we're still, you got to remember, they're still on a high. They're still on a high from last night.
Yeah.
They don't really care.
They're all sex nuts, yeah.
So
it's all gravy at this point.
So one of the mean trolls whips one of the other trolls, and that's the last straw. And the next thing you know, that troll, the whipping troll, gets an arrow right in his ear.
Yeah, he does. And then the arrows are flying fast and loose.
Yeah, they're almost as fast and loose as the elves themselves at their orgies. So
yep.
There's a big melee, and there's arrows going everywhere. And like the trolls who were being freed, they're like, "Hey, they mean it. They're on our side. We'll be free. Let's smash your trains and smash your enemies." And so now
they were not having it. They're like, "All right, Cutter, you dung dog whelp, I see you. Like, how dare you shoot us while we're prisoners?" And he's like, "No, we're here to help you, dumbass."
So now the trolls and the elves are fighting side by side against these other trolls, and things, man, there's a lot of trolls. There's a lot of dead trolls falling everywhere.
Yeah.
Man, like, look at this one page in the background. There's an elf lady. She's mounted a troll and just stabbing him with 2 knives in the throat.
That's awesome.
And there's blood everywhere. And
yep.
And there's a giant door that the trolls are trying to close. So the elves,
that drawbridge type door.
And so then Lita was, she's a healer, so she's not involved in the fight. She's still up above. And Ryak is there with the rock shaper elf guy. And apparently Ryak can fly as well. Is that what's happening here?
Yeah, it sure looks like it.
Yeah, so because he still loves Lita, and he loves this little rock shaping elf guy. So he grabs them both and he goes flies them up to safety, I guess, or whatever. And or they're trying to get the rock shaper guy to do something to the drawbridge control mechanism.
Yeah, I didn't understand that. He was like, the door must remain shut and open at the same time. What?
So, but more trolls just keep running in, and there's all kind of fighting going on, and
yeah,
there's
it's like a Royal Rumble. They just keep adding another
every 2 minutes someone else runs it.
Yeah.
But again, I don't know who half the there's so many characters, and they all have names, and I don't know who any of them are. But I guess there's one lady warrior elf, and they're trying to tell her, hey, calm down, let's get out of here, and she's like, no, I'm staying, I'm fighting, and she's cutting up some trolls and stuff, but as things, there's just more and more trolls, they just keep coming, these trolls.
You do like that the elves are wearing like these winter parkas they're like green, but then they have a lot of white fur around the edges. And the red, or they're starting to get a lot of blood splatter all over the white fur.
Yeah, they all look like Santa Claus's elves, these little outfits.
Yeah. Except murderous and stabbing people in the throat 2 blades at a time.
So finally this Vaya, she's the warrior lady who's been murdering all these trolls. She's like, all right, maybe now it's time to get out of here. So she runs and she tries to jump through the hole in the wall to join the other elves, but a troll grabs her by the ankles before she can get through. And he starts pulling on her, and then the elves are trying to pull on her, but as one of the elves is grabbing her, one of the trolls reaches in and spears him in the shoulder, so he has to let go of her. So the trolls grab her, and the trolls got her now. They got her, But then
the guy who can control rock, he basically shuts the hole on the troll that's kind of coming through. Which murders him. His blood's just running down the wall. But now it's sealed. Nobody can get in or out. So that lady's just stuck. Trolls got her.
Yeah, so Cutter says Vaya. And then the lady, that Kavi lady who's the leader, she says, she chose, she's gone. When the palace is ours, we'll dance for her. So that means you're going to have another orgy in her honor. And then we'll dance, they say again, to really drive home the point. And it says, to be continued. Now, I don't know. Maybe Vaya survives. I have no idea. And I will never find out.
I did kind of peek at the next issue. It looks like she dies.
Oh, ouch.
Yeah.
Right. Now, is she already dead or did they kill her?
No, I think they take her to the troll guy, guy on the throne. And basically, tells her, you can die quick or slowly. And then she tries to fight back, and then she dies in the melee.
Wow, this is something.
Yeah, this is not what I expected at all.
No, it's not what I expected either.
and I appreciated it for that. Yeah.
Yeah, I will say this: it's I don't know if the art style and the tone of the book go together. Let's put it that way. But it is the stuff they do in terms of writing is very strong in terms of decisions and plotting and characterization. Like you force your characters to make decisions and all that kind of stuff. But these are like big
sacrifice.
Yeah, there's your big epic moments that are happening in the story. Like characters are dying and sacrificing for each other, and so. I mean, this is Game of Thrones stuff, right?
It really is, yeah. There's people like, oh, well, we're winning, but are we turning into the enemy by murdering all these trolls? There's a lot of things going on here.
Yeah, so I respect it for that. But what else about the ElfQuest? Did you have a favorite elf character?
You know what? They were throwing so many at us. It was like a t-shirt cannon and just throwing out, new characters every 5 seconds. So it was hard to get a feel for anybody.
I kind of like that Vaya there at the end. She seemed cool, but now she's dead.
Yeah, she got a big hero moment. So yeah, that's pretty cool.
I don't like I don't like this little fella. I don't like him
because he's too emo. Always cutting himself.
He gets too many elf ladies. I'm jealous.
Yeah. I guess I kind of like Ryak. I feel bad for that guy.
Well, why? Cutter still
He said
shares Lita with him.
Yeah. It's almost worse in some ways, though.
Is it? You know, get to sleep with her. You don't have to go to her in-laws or anything for holidays.
Yeah. But then you're so sad you can't even sleep with these other ladies that want to sleep with you.
So, what else is there to mention about this here, Jank? I like Lita. I like that love triangle, going on there. Like, you feel right away you empathize for Ryak, and so yeah, there's a lot of good stuff.
This kind of storytelling where there's like the one main objective, like we got to kill this troll guy. Like that's kind of, it seems like that's what the series is building towards, is this guy sucks, we got to kill him. Like you don't get that much in superhero comics because it's a new villain every month or whatever. It's always something else. It's never going to be, oh, if we do this, then everything's going to be all right.
Yeah. What else you don't get in a lot of superhero comics? Orgies.
No. Hardly ever. When was the last time Spider-Man ran into an orgy? Not really enough.
He could have a hell of a one with all the ladies he knows.
Yeah.
I'm
sure Matt Murdock's arranged a couple. That guy's always having orgies.
But, yeah, so how'd you feel about the art? Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I thought it was perfectly solid. Some of the shots were really, really good. Some of them, not as much, but overall, I thought it was good. It was effective. You can pretty much, for the most part, tell what was going on.
I like the coloring and inking. They did some cool things with the shadows. And like I said, when there's that big slaughter of the trolls, they changed the coloring to like really drive home that it was a vile scene. So, yeah.
Shadows in the throne room, like of the king there, he looked pretty good. So I really like that.
Who are you kidding? You were looking at the metal cone, bro, the whole time. You didn't even see that king. But, yeah, this is a weird book. It's not what I expected. The tone of it is vastly different than what I expected.
Yeah, I can definitely see the appeal of this, though. Like the long-term storytelling where you actually get to know these characters. There's a bunch of characters, but you actually spend time getting to know them. I can see that being very appealing.
Yeah, especially for the time it was being done, 1978, when it started. So, yeah, this Wendy Pini, she's quite the visionary. And, again, at that time, there weren't a lot of female creators in the industry. So she really blazed a trail for others. So good for her. And, I will say this, though, that, before the show there, like I said, I watched that one video of them, and then I, checked some, ElfQuest threads on Reddit or whatever, just to see because I wanted to see how it ended.
People say, okay.
Yeah, and yeah, Cutter. Yeah, spoiler alert: Cutter. His hero's journey does end the way you expect it would. So
yeah. Otherwise, I just keep going.
And but like people were saying that it kind of lost its way towards the end, and yeah, like it's. Everyone in the thread was saying, like, I don't know, the different adventures have different titles. Like, I don't know what they're called. Like the Siege of Blue Mountain or something is one. I don't know. I'm just making that up. But anyway, there's a few of those. And they're like, I only liked up till here, and then anything after that was kind of bad. And so... And
I wonder if it's like Star Wars where it's like, oh yeah, we killed the Emperor and Darth Vader, but now there's just something else and it's not as good.
It seemed like the main complaint was towards the end during that final Quest series, like right towards the end, they just started adding a bunch of new characters and concepts and stuff. And it's like, this isn't what the other previous 40 years have been about. And then you're just throwing it all at us at the end. And then I guess
like a sci-fi book or something
someone like at the end Cutter dies, but his soul is shared with someone else. So yeah, I don't know. No one seemed to like that.
Yeah, just let him die.
Made a tri bond. Someone, I guess. So
yeah, you just got a little guy like living in your head now.
So I don't know, but that seems to be the way it always goes with long-running world-building things like that, right? Like people love it at the beginning, and then by the end they're like, "Yeah, this isn't what we thought."
Yep, at some point it takes a turn. You keep juggling too many plates trying to keep the thing going, and you lose kind of the main thread.
Like I said, 700 characters or something. So,
oh my god,
good Lord, yeah,
that is excessive.
So, all right, I guess that's ElfQuest. Anything else we need to say about this that you'd like to mention?
No, I think overall I'm probably going to give it like an 8.
Wow.
I enjoyed it quite a bit, more than I thought.
Yeah, it's weird for me because, like I said, I respected a lot of the stuff they did in the writing. I don't particularly like the art, it's not my thing. And I just hate fantasy, so...
I did, by the way, I did look on, they did have some images from like the original comic books, not the epic Marvel ones, but the original ones. And I think those look better actually. Like they somehow look a little bit better.
Correct?
No, I think they were actually colored.
Well, I think the original ones were black and white. And then,
okay.
Then they it's a long story, but I think they did release editions of them that were colored then. And so I don't know, but,
yeah. I think I saw something where it looked slightly better.
So, yeah, I'm very much in the same camp as The Crow. Like, I can respect it. I can acknowledge it's what it is, but it's just not for me, man, So it's just not for me.
Yeah.
But I'll give it a 6. I'll give it a 6. So, holy crud and orgy. That's the thing you got to take from this.
Yep. It can't be that bad if there's an orgy.
If you're looking for some hot elf action...
Yeah, the only problem is these elves kind of look like children.
Oh yeah, believe me, there's a I didn't want to go down that rabbit hole too much, but I did read some people bringing up that point, and that in some of these stories there are definitely children involved in things.
Oh no.
And people were trying to defend it as like, well, in the elf world, what's the age of consent?
The age of consent is different in the elf world, yeah.
I didn't want to get down that rabbit hole, so I just avoided that. So the less I know about ElfQuest, the better. But that issue was raised on those threads. So right.
Oh boy,
that's ElfQuest for you. All right, so next here,
where do we go from here?
Well, I thought I would, this has a tie into ElfQuest in a couple ways. The one way is like, we'll go with a little kind of an impish space elf.
Oh.
So we're going to be doing Silver Surfer, issue 33 from 1989, featuring the Impossible Man.
Nice.
He's got those elfish ears,
Yeah.
And of course, Wendy and Richard Pini met on a Silver Surfer letter page. So look at that. It ties together.
Huh.
We've done Silver Surfer before on the show, before you were on, just me and Mike L. And it was the 1970s series, the one where Wendy wrote into. And so, this is the first time we're doing the second series from the 80s. And I'm more
familiar with that series.
Wait, what's that?
I'm definitely more familiar with this series, the later one, the 80s one.
Yeah, this was one of the books I bought each month when I was a kid. So, in fact, I'm pretty sure I own this issue. And I'm a big surfer guy. I like Silver Surfer. This is Ron Lim on the art, I believe.
Yeah. Good times.
Yeah, see, we'll talk about it next week. But back in the day when he took over the book, it was like gave it so much energy. Like it was a whole different way of drawing Silver Surfer. And it was like, oh, this is great. But now looking back at it, I don't really like his style that much. But,
Yeah, I mean, I don't like him on a lot of things. I do think I still like his stuff on Silver Surfer, but we'll find out, I guess, next week.
Yeah. So it's Silver Surfer and the Impossible Man next week here on Flea Market Fantasy. And again, if you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. We appreciate the support. And until next week, don't get any jank on you.